Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Well, let's take a look at some stocks on the move today in Europe. I'm Stephen Carroll and we're joined by Bloomberg's equities reporter, Joe Easton. Joe, good morning. Wiz Air shares losing some altitude this morning. More than just turbulence, what's to blame?
Yes, investors in the brace position on that one. So that stock, we're down 27% at the moment. That is the steepest drop since the pandemic days. So kind of telling us how bad that was. Now, this is after the regular trading update from the airline, which is focused on the eastern part of Europe. That's where they do most of their business, but it seems to be the costs actually really hitting the company at the moment. Higher than expected costs, according to analysts over at Jefferies. They do also note that the lack of clarity around where the war in Eastern Europe is going is not helping some of their routes at the moment. But the main thing does seem to be costs, which they assign to staffing and also maintenance. Wiz has actually had a lot of problems with supply of jets previously, having issues with the plane supplier Airbus, as well as pricing competition. So it's been a big underperformer already, massively down over the past couple of years and down another 25% today.
Yeah, indeed. Very interesting to see that big move in the airline space this morning. Let's shift, though, to the fintech company Wise, best known for its international payments, shifting its primary listing away from London. Is this a wise move, Joe?
But yes, I think, there's only one pun to do there, isn't there? Wise. It is. Well, it could be wise because...
Well, there's a transfer one as well, because it used to be called TransferWise.
Transferring their listing. Yeah, no, of course.
Sorry, I'm working a bit hard on that one.
No, because this is the company that is behind TransferWise. So we could... transferring their listing. That is the potential news. So Wise coming out today saying that they could relist to the US, which is the last thing the LSE or anyone who has a stake in UK capital markets wants to hear, because we have, of course, seen a few companies over the past few years shifting over to the US, like Flutter, for example, the gambling company CRH, in order to get a higher valuation, because US stocks tend to be listed or priced more highly when they are listed in the US. So Wise's stock actually up 9%. I think it is mostly due to this news, because the results from Wise, as you said there, Stephen, is mostly the TransferWise company, pretty much in line with expectations, so not very exciting. The main excitement seems to be if they move to the US, will the valuation then increase? Investors pricing that in, and Wise up 9% today.
Yeah, certainly very interesting to see that move on the back of that announcement. And as you say, not a great headline for the London markets. We're going to Germany next, and the chemicals and pharmaceutical firm Bayer. Good chemistry there.
Oh, these are fantastic. So Bayer, we are up 5% on that one, so big gain. Now, Goldman Sachs raising this one to buy, so Goldman is a buyer of Bayer. Throw that one in. So this stock gaining because Goldman thinks that concern around the weed killer legal case is overdone. So people will have heard about this, of course. This is the issue where Roundup was used by a lot of gardeners, landscapers in the US, and some of them said that it sadly was behind their cancer and their cancer issues. So Bayer was sued by that. This has wiped tens of billions of dollars off the company's market cap. However, Bayer is going to appeal one of these rulings to the Supreme Court, and Goldman's trading idea is that if the Supreme Court accepts this case for review on these cases, they think the stock could rise 20%. So they're recommending buying the stock today on that legal, potentially risk easing, and the stock is gaining 5% in Germany.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.